people are real proud their dog goes to a daycare and they have their own room and they have a TV, and that's their concept of daycare. So when we say we're taking our dog to play, we try not to use the word daycare because we call it enrichment and play and all of that, and trying to help them understand that no, it's not a housing kind of situation. That's boarding, like going to the kennel and having a little 5x7, whatever. And so that's our biggest struggle, is trying to get people to really understand what a daycare, what enrichment looks like for a dog.
Okay, welcome to this week's segment. This is Nancy Rankin.
Hello.
I'm Tina. And Nancy, how long have you been here?
7 years.
And your dog is?
Gracie.
She is a?
Labradoodle, and she is one of the more challenging clients that they have. We just know she's a challenge. However, they go at great lengths to accommodate her in her challenge.
Yeah. So actually this is a little bit off what we had chosen to speak on, but I think it's totally relevant, You were saying one of the challenges you personally have is when you tell people that Gracie is in a particular program that she goes to once a week, twice a week, whatever it is. For every dog is at a different number of so the challenge that you've had often is trying to explain how an enrichment program is different than a daycare program, right?
Right.
And so I'd like to draw from a very recent example. That's yesterday, right? So you are volunteering with Timbernook, and we very briefly discussed, well, what would happen if Gracie was here and she saw you, Well, we could speculate and make assumptions for what would happen, but it's one of those things that let's see what happens, and then let's deal with whatever we have to do to ensure that her comfort comes first and foremost, right?
Right.
The morning started off where she was on the Timbernook side with other dogs.
Not knowing I was here.
Oh, did she not know you were there?
She didn't know I was here.
And then how did she find you?
She discovered me when she came in because I failed to be ready to hide.
Oh!
I was really going to hide, but she was on me before I knew she even was in
That's
the
right,
yard.
because she got worked out, right?
Yes.
And so she came and stumbled upon you and was like, Mom, what the heck? Why are you here? What are you doing?
And she's excited to tell me about her day. Always excited, yes.
Yeah. So what started happening as a result is, in her excitement, and this is a really tricky thing to be discussing, excitement versus stress, excitement versus arousal, excitement versus feeling anxious, right? These are all things.
My thing, she was so intent to watch me, she was missing out on her fun.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's another great.
Not to mention what you were saying. It messes up with the flow of the other dogs.
Yeah. So, and everything we are talking about are things that are feelings, right? But what are the behaviors that we started seeing that we could correlate to, or assign? What are the behaviors we saw, and what are the feelings that we identified those behaviors with? So, for example, we identified, say, her feeling stressed or anxious or excited, or missing out on what she would have normally done, which is play. But what did those behaviors actually look like? What was she actually doing that we are calling all of this? She was circling you.
The overt behaviors.
Yes,
she's
that's what I want to know. What kind of speed, intensity, for how long, duration?
She eventually would leave, but she'd come right back, and she would bark.
Yeah.
Which is not typical.
Yes.
So jumping up on me, that's not typical.
Yeah.
Circling me, barking.
Yeah.
When I did leave this setting, she was in a frenzied mode of circling the property. That's different than their normal running and playing.
Yes.
So.
It is different. You and I know that, but what does that difference look like in terms of behavior? And speak about that in terms of her speed, did she commit to a particular direction, or was she left, right?
Pretty much all over the place.
Right, everywhere. Yeah. So that's what you were calling frenzy.
I kind of compare it to like a 2-year-old child that gets so excited and they're just like, it's like a whirlwind. They actually lose control.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I mean?
so
So,
how
yeah.
did we that's a great way to describe that, is where they lose control over themselves, right?
Right.
And what kind of assistance was she given to try and establish that self-control? Not that we want to control her, but what we want to do is remind her of the skills that she has to be able to help herself, to be able to progress her from what she's doing right now and help her move on to something else. Did you notice some of the things that we had tried to do with her? And they're very subtle, some of them.
Right.
Did you
I
pick
know
up
you'd
on
have
any
to
of that?
speak to
Okay, so what we always do is we use this acronym called LIMA, right? LIMA. And it stands for least intrusive, minimally
Right.
aversive, right? So our first approach was to just say, Gracie, here, a term, a signal that she is so familiar with that in any other situation she would slam on her brakes and recognize her name, and at here she would come towards our whatever direction
Right.
we were in. So we set ourselves up to be close enough to you, and we said in the normal voice that we would ordinarily use, we said, Gracie, here, and she actually stopped
It would turn.
and turn, but it wasn't enough for her. The motivation was not enough for her to come all the way. Now, what was happening is that it's not that the motivation was not enough. There was a stronger motivator
Right.
competing against this
Right.
motivator. Right, exactly. So at that moment in time, we could have thrown hot dogs her way, we could have thrown steak her way, but the point is that really nothing could have competed against
Right.
this particular motivator, which was
She
you.
had all the mud holes in the world. That
She had everything.
loves.
She had everything.
And she did go for them.
Yeah.
But she'd come right
back to you.
Yeah.
So when you think of this dog, it's like the way I like to visualize it is, oh my God, there's like all sorts of fireworks going on in her head, and she's being pulled in different directions, and she's
Overstimulation to the
overstimulated,
max.
but just not able to commit to which one direction.
Right.
And that's where we needed to come in very quickly and say, this must stop, right? So first and foremost, we did have the option of Gracie leaving and you staying, right? But who was that going to benefit?
Right.
The human part, right?
Right.
And so for us, it's about, no, that wouldn't be fair to her because she was already here, right? And today, or yesterday, was already her day, right? And let's help her. We haven't reached the point where she's tipped. We are at that pivotal point where we can assist her. According to Lima, we could be a little bit more intrusive, right? Which would have meant maybe even putting her on leash and saying, Gracie, you're going to walk with me now. And finding an opportunity where she breaks from you, connects with us, and say, now I can set you free. If we had to do that. But we might not have even had to put a leash on her if we could control another environmental condition that was competing against us, which was you.
Right.
So our first choice was, let's get you out of the picture. And then let's open up her environment again, open up all the gates, let her have access to this side as well as this side, and say, what are you going to do?
Right.
Do you have the ability on your own to get back into
bring it
it,
back down.
to bring it back together? And that is what empowerment is the ability to do it on your own. That animal, that child, that learner, that adult must feel empowered that they can assist and help themselves. And that's what we wanted so desperately for her. I don't know what it meant to be you in that
Right.
particular moment, right?
Right.
Like how challenging and frustrating maybe, and even difficult and torn and all sorts of things that you might have been
Well,
feeling.
I think you have to understand
Yeah.
the big picture. And I've been an educator all my life, so
Yeah.
I understand the making, as we call, modifications, accommodations, whatever, for every situation.
Yeah.
And that's an ongoing process. You have so many different dogs with different personalities, you have to make, those individual adjustments. So for me, as a client, it was not a problem because I understand the picture of what we're doing here. So it was more important for her, I'm just a volunteer here for the day, I'm expendable. That if I stay, it takes away that from her. So I didn't have a problem with it.
Well,
Because I think it was important for that to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not
with
what
that.
this segment is about, but I think it's a really great point to end here to just show even the difference between our members at Doglando and their level of understanding, their level of patience, and most important, their level of commitment to ensuring that whatever process we decide to take for the benefit of the dog, we are together. You know,
Right.
this is not us working
Right.
against you and you
Right.
working against us. We're making this
Right.
decision based for this dog, right? Your dog. And
And as I said, I have a challenging dog.
Yeah.
And over the course of 7 years,
Yeah.
there have had to be a lot of accommodations
Yeah.
for the barking
Yeah.
or for the swimming or,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
she's still here after 7 years
Yeah.
because I get the picture
Yeah.
and we're working together.
Together
Like
on
it's, you know, so
yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time.
no problem. Thank you.